The Linux kernel is modular. What does that mean? That means that the kernel itself is a small core application, and then you can gain additional functionalities to the kernel by loading modules. So if I wanted to add an Intel network card to my server, I'd probably want to load the Intel modules. If I wanted to add a AMD graphics card to my server, I'd want to load the AMD modules, etc., etc. How does the Linux kernel load the kernel modules? I'll see if I can explain that to you in less than 60 seconds. Imagine the diagram to the left or to the bottom represents your Linux system from a very high level. On your system, there's your Linux kernel. Your kernel is split into two parts. There's the core kernel, which is right here, and then there's modules that are loaded by the core kernel. Both the core kernel and the kernel modules then talk to applications and hardware. Something you should take note of is that the core kernel, number 1 down here, acts as not just the middleman between apps and hardware, but also the middleman between apps, hardware, and your kernel modules. What that means is if we have an issue with our hardware, we can easily check our kernel modules and diagnose if we have a software or a hardware problem. In the same way, if we had applications, let's say special file systems, we would load those file systems once again using kernel modules, which are loaded by the core kernel.